Hello, world. This is Coach Jay here. Just wanted to come and just talk a little bit more about something that I came live to speak about on yesterday. And I came live on yesterday to talk about the difference in setting a goal and actually crossing the finish line and achieving that goal, and the work that kind of goes between the moment that you set the goal and when you cross the finish line and achieve that goal. There's a lot of work that has to take place in between that. And so I just want to come and give an example. I set a goal for myself physically around my wellness probably maybe 2 weeks ago. Some goals we set are short-term goals, and some goals we set are long-term goals. And this goal was a short-term goal. It only took me about 2 weeks to accomplish this goal, but nevertheless, it was still a goal that I set that I was able to cross the finish line. And I want to try to explain to you how I was able to do it. So the goal that I set for myself at the age of 41 is that I wanted to run a mile in 10 minutes or under. And you may be saying to yourself, well, that's a 10-minute mile. That's easy. Like, you should be running like a 7-minute mile. But again, I say to you, at 41 years old, I wanted to run my mile in 10 minutes or less. And so the first day I set that goal for myself, I was able to begin to take action steps. And the first action step I took as I began to march towards that finish line was I paid attention to my run. And so I ran that first day and I finished the mile in probably like 10 minutes and 50 seconds. And so I realized at running a mile in 10 minutes and 50 seconds, a few things were going on. One, the speed in which I had the treadmill set was too low, right? I needed to get the treadmill up to running at about 6.0 or greater in terms of speed. But then I also recognized my body posture was shifting back and forth, and I would feel comfortable in one position, uncomfortable in the next. And then I started paying attention to the speed of my arms moving as I was paying attention to how high I was picking my feet up, how they were hitting the treadmill. And so what I'm telling you now is the action step that I took towards crossing that finish line. As you can see, the first day I ran, I took a lot of things into consideration. The posture of my body, the pace of the treadmill, the positions of my arms and how fast they were going. And I still only came in within 10 minutes and 50 seconds. And so I took all of that into account and I started to chip away at that. Now, running it on the treadmill at 6.0, for some people it could be easy, but for your average person or even your quasi-fit in shape person, it's not that easy running at 6.0. And so every time I started to get on the treadmill, I would increase the speed and run longer at 5.5 and then getting up to 6.0, 5.5, 6.0. And so today, when I got on the treadmill from the last time I worked out, I told myself, Josh, in order to achieve that 10-minute mark or less, you have to start out of the gate at running at 6.0. This is that final action step. Now, I've done 2 other action steps before this one. This is the final one. If I'm going to get under the 10-minute mark, I have to come out of the gate running at 6.0. And so when I told myself that, my body responded and said, hey, you ready? So I was feeling good. I wasn't feeling lethargic. I wasn't feeling like a lack of energy. So as soon as I hit start on the treadmill, done my warm up, the treadmill went straight to 6.0 and I'm running. So I'm watching the treadmill go up in increments. And even at that moment, it was still too close to like whether I'm gonna come in at 10 or a little over. And so I ran for about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe even 5 on 6.0. Then I bumped it up to 6.5. And then after about 7 to 8 minutes at 6.5, it was still a little close. Then I bumped it up to 7.0. And then after I got to about 8.5, I was still close. Then I bumped it up to 7.5. And I was able to come in at 9 minutes, 50 seconds with completing that mile and reaching my target and crossing the finish line. And I said all of that to give you an example and give you a demonstration of what it is to set a goal, but also the action steps and the process in between that it takes to achieve a goal. Now, that is just one simple goal. You may say, well, that's just a simple goal. Well, the process is still the same no matter if it's a short-term or long-term goal. I only had 3 action steps. If you have a long-term goal, you may have 10 action steps. But the reality is you have to begin to take the steps. A lot of times we get stuck in setting the goal and we can't actualize the action steps that need to take place. And so I set the goal, I visualized myself completing and crossing that finish line. And because I visualized it, I knew exactly what I needed to do to take those action steps. And so I want to encourage you today to not just set goals, but I want to encourage you to set the goal, visualize yourself achieving the goal, and then begin to implement, draft out, write out some concrete action steps that you need to take between the goal set and crossing the finish line to the goal being achieved. That's all I have for you today, man. Peace out, Coach Saquon.